Yeah, official good morning to one and all. Yeah, let's see this first. So, whenever you see the question like this, so what comes in your mind first? What is the basic point for the melting point? How can we assess the melting points? Which means what? What is the basic point? Plot point. Lattice enthalpy. So, if the lattice enthalpy is more, lattice enthalpy which is directly proportional to the melting point. Lattice and bond enthalpy. But of course here I should not call it as bond enthalpy because it's not a covalent bond. So I should not use the word bond energy. I should not use the word bond enthalpy. So here the word that we need to use is lattice enthalpy. If lattice enthalpy is more, therefore melting point will be more. Melting point, which means that, for example, if x plus and y minus both of them are present like this, the distance between them has to be increased. That's it. So here the given combinations are, one is LIF. Don't look at the answer, we'll try to see LICL. You just see LIF, LICL, who is having the more lattice enthalpy? Rabbi, lattice enthalpy is directly proportional to what? Product of charge. Product of charge. Inversely proportional to? You are going to that one, Coulomb's law. R plus and R minus. So, product of the charges. Here, anyway, LIF, LICL both will be having the same kind of plus 1, minus 1 charge. It's okay. Nothing, no issue at all. But when it comes to the distance, this is nothing but those which is having the more size, that will be having less lattice enthalpy. Or, even you don't know this formula, if you know Fazan's rules, you can just nailed it. That is, according to the Fazan's rules, large size of the cation, small size of the anion always favors the formation of ionic bond. Always favors the formation of, that's it. Among these two, who is the best ionic? LIF. Definitely it will be having more melting point. The only thing is, here you need to remember this, and after reading this question you should not feel panic. Okay, how did I miss this theory bit? It's not a theory bit. It's purely based on some concept. Next one, we'll see another one is NaCl MgO. Na? You tell me NaCl MgO. Why? Charge. That's it. There ends the matter. Next. Yeah. It's okay. Next. This one. Where is option D? Okay. Yeah. Tell me each and every reaction. First, what is this reaction? What is this reaction? Wolff-Kishner reduction. Wolff-Kishner reduction. Another one is there, ZnHg. So what was that? Clemmensen's reduction, right? Sodium borohydride you have. Sodium borohydride. Sodium borohydride is a reducing agent. We know it can convert ketone into the secondary alcohol, aldehyde into the primary alcohol. We know. NiH2. It definitely reduces even the double bond also. Next, another one I'll show you. Yeah, red phosphorus chlorine or red phosphorus iodine. One of the craziest reducing agent, you could say that, because it can reduce everything, even halide converted to the alkane. Even you take multiple bond along with the carbonyl compound, it will convert it to the alkane. It's one of the craziest reducing agent, red phosphorus iodine or red phosphorus chlorine. So here, red phosphorus chlorine, NiH2, they can convert even this double bond into the single bond. Even this double bond also single bond. Am I right? Next, sodium borohydride, if you have, now the point is in between sodium borohydride and Wolff-Kishner reduction. Sodium borohydride, if you have conjugated double bond with the carbonyl, it can reduce. In order not to reduce, for example, it is not there in the NCERT, but it is there in JEE syllabus. Of course, definitely it is been already taught to you. Right? So, sodium borohydride, if you don't want to reduce this conjugated double bond, what we will use? We'll use something like lanthanums or thorium. Therefore, this will be seized. Then only this double bond is going to be reduced. Otherwise, if you use exclusively only sodium borohydride, this multiple bond as well as this C double bond both will undergo reduction. So this is gone, this is gone. Red phosphorus chlorine is also gone. So now we have, of course, Wolff-Kishner reduction. It is not at all having any intention to reduce the multiple bonds. It never does that. Right? Next. This is one of the panic question I have seen. Oh. Yeah, hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, but it is not most abundant gas in the troposphere. True. Absolutely correct. That is nothing, no doubt about it. Hydrogen, which is almost present more than 70% in the universe. It is the first statement in your NCERT textbook, hydrogen and its compounds. Of course, they did not give most abundant. They have given like this. This is the highest, most abundant element, around 70% in the universe. This is the first statement. Next, yeah, abundance when it comes to hydrogen is the lightest element. This is also given. Why? The logic is because that is the lightest element, and the remaining all atmospheric gases are having the, what is the average molar mass of the all atmospheric gases? That is 28 it's 28, no, sorry, that is 28, this is going to be 32, around 29 point change something. Hydrogen here, it is highly, very lighter denser gas, therefore it can escape out. Right? So that could be the point. So where this is true, this is also true, and R is the correct explanation of A also. But once JEE Mains has clearly given, before NTA formed, before NTA was formed, they clearly mentioned that from this year onwards there will be no assertion reasoning answers. But this year, after that, almost 5 or 6 years later, this year they have given assertion and reasoning questions. You can check out last 5 to 6 years papers. You never find out anything because lot of claims were there. Lot of claims, everyone will talk, everyone, there will be some clause in it. So if it is not like, it is unlike mathematics, A equal to B, B equal to C, C equal to D, therefore A equal to B, A equal to D. No, it is not like that in assertion and reasoning. If it is a straight statement is correct, if the straight statement is correct, then only A is true, R is true, and R is the correct explanation of A. It is not like 2 to 3 statements, okay, because of this reason, this is correct, because of this reason, this is correct. Therefore, every reason you feel that is correct for the assertion. So that is what they are putting it little, like what we can say that, into the board, but we will see how it is going to be, but this is very clear, no doubt about it. Next, the incorrect statement among the following is, VOSO4 is a reducing agent. VOSO4 is a reducing agent. In VOSO4, first of all, that is VO2 plus 2, SO4 2 minus Ra. This is already in plus 6 oxidation state. So reducing action is not because of this. Because vanadium can go up to plus 5. V2O5. So here reducing action is not because of SO4 minus 2. This is a good question actually. We are always looking at other part. So here VO plus 2, sorry. VO plus 2, which means vanadium is in plus 4 oxidation state. VO plus 4 can go to VO plus 5, no? So it can undergo oxidation, which means that it can act as a very good reducing agent. AC is switched on, no? No? Ask them. Go. It's very suffocating. Yeah, next. Red color of ruby is due to the presence of CO plus 3. Yesterday even I found it is in the NCRT. It is true. It is because of Al2O3 and chromium. Actually bauxite, it's a kind of bauxite. Bauxite will get the red color, that we can call it as a ruby. That is because of the Cr plus 3 ion. It's clearly mentioned there in D block elements applications. Check out. Right? Next. Ruthenium tetroxide is an oxidizing agent. Ruthenium oxidation state is how much here? +8. +8 can come down up to 0 also, because that we can expect now. Negative oxidation state we cannot expect. So definitely it can act as an oxidizing agent. What we missed out? Yeah, this is the incorrect, right? Next, what is the correct order for the following elements with respect to their density? This is given in your notebook. This is absolutely which is there in your notebook if you see. And not only in my notebook I am telling you, it is there in the NCRT also. D block elements are having special kind of this density property, that is from left to right atomic radius decreases. We all know. Do you remember? Right from scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc. Among them, right from scandium to vanadium decreases. Chromium will possess little more because of stable electronic configuration. I told you another part also at that time. Ambani son never has the any intention to bond with someone, and other will have the intention to bond with someone. That is why their atomic radius is less. The similar kind of situation will be happen with the zinc also. Zinc is the one, because of its stable electronic configuration, the radius is going to be so high and its density is very, very less. Zinc, cadmium, mercury, their boiling points as well as melting points are very, very less. If you remember, we mentioned at the time of even metallurgy also, mercury, regarding the mercury. Mercury melting point is very, very less and its boiling point is also very, very less. Zinc, cadmium, mercury, densities are lowest, melting and boiling points are very, very less. So, from left to right, what is the atomic radius intentions also we already mentioned. That is initially screening effect dominates the nuclear charge dominates the screening effect. Then after iron, cobalt, nickel, there exactly over there, both the screening effect and the nuclear charge both are compensating to each other. Then after screening effect dominates nuclear charge. This is what we told. Right? So from left to right, nothing will be happen. From left to right, atomic radius will be decreased. Atomic radius decrease, therefore atomic volume decreases. But from left to right, if you are moving, number of protons and neutrons are increasing. So mass is increasing, mass is increasing, volume is decreasing. It's very simple thing. Mass is increasing, volume is decreasing. So density will increase, except in the case of zinc. Look at there. Zinc as well as chromium also. Those two are the ones which are absolutely falters. Otherwise remaining all are going to be, it's very normal thing. So left to right, atomic radius will be decreases, except in the case of zinc and chromium. Compared to chromium, zinc is having the very high. I guess you can understand, highly stable, that one. So that is the one. Clear? Yeah. Morphine, I remember, analgesic. Vitamin B12, yeah, anemia, that we can remember. Northindron, I heard somewhere. Anti-fertility drug, tranquilizer. Huh? Anti-fertility drug. Okay, I got it. So, I have very bad memory regarding this. It's very almost 1 year back or 2 years back. So vitamin B12 will be this anemia. Morphine as well as heroin, both are analgesics which are used in post-operative surgeries and all. Both will be having only one difference, that is only one phenyl group. If you want, you can check. So this is that one. Tranquilizer. Mostly that is used by hypnosis. In the hypnosis. Yeah, this is good question. I feel that, yeah, these are the kind of questions they need to concentrate more. And look at this. This is not in JEE mains. Some 2 to 3 years back, the question paper is not like that. Simply they will give only this NO2 and what is the compound. It was too good, na? But now see, they are actually harassing everyone. So you are having NO2 group here, and you have bromine as well as bromine, right? But here bromine which is present in meta group, which means that before, first of all, someone should be there who is the meta directing group. But bromine, here the bromine is deactivating group, but that is ortho para directing group. Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine are deactivating groups, no doubt, but they are ortho para directing groups. That is the only exception. Remaining all of them are, if there is an activating group, that should be ortho para directing group. Deactivating groups are meta directing groups. But fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, these are the ones which are deactivating groups, but they are ortho para directing groups. So when this bromine is adding, here bromine was not there. That's my first thing. That's my first observation when I have seen this. Now let us check by each and everything. We will see it. First I am taking bromine as well as iron. Since it is a deactivating group, that's why you need iron metal also. Definitely you will get here meta-bromo-nitrobenzene is formed. That is okay. SnHCl you were saying. SnHCl or FeHCl, NH4Cl along with NH4Cl along with Sn also, it is going to give me aniline. Right? Reduction, even including lithium aluminum hydride also. Reduction it will give. NH2, aniline it is given. NaNO2 HCl, it's a fantastic combination. It gives me absolutely correct. Now, what is this? CuBr HBr. It's nothing but Gutterman reaction, na? Right? NaNO2 HCl. If it is CuCN, it should have been Sandmeier's reaction. If it is bromine, then therefore it has to be Gutterman reaction. Now bromine will add. Yeah, bromine. It's done. I guess this is the answer. Yeah, right. Now let us see the remaining one. If you put NaNO2 here, so obviously NaNO2 HCl, this is a ridiculous thing. Put together we have to use, not separately. So this is ridiculous option, leave it. SnHCl, then what will happen, we will check. SnHCl if you put, you will get aniline first. Aniline reacts with KBr. Aniline reacts with KBr, nothing, because anyway this is Br minus and this is going to be K plus. So aniline, it is already having the lone pair of electrons. Nothing could do with the Br minus. There will be nothing will happen. Here also reaction will never be proceeds. SnHCl you will get aniline. Aniline is going to be ortho para directing group or activating group. Bromine you are putting. If you put bromine, you will get ortho para bromo substituted aniline you will get. Then after you are putting NaNO2. NaNO2 only, nothing will happen. Already ortho para bromine is formed, along with NH2 group is also there. Therefore, how you will get your desired product? It's not possible. So it's very fair. Even of course number of reactions are more, but the options are very poor options. There is no need to, you never get any confusion here. Yeah. I thought this question is really good question, because the only one thing, whenever we see benzene nucleus, we always get tempting towards the electrophilic substitution reaction, but they have given nucleophilic substitution. How good this is. Nucleophilic substitution. With respect to electrophilic substitution, all electron withdrawing groups are deactivating groups. Am I right or not? Which means minus R groups. All plus R groups are activating groups. Activating groups for whom? Electrophilic substitution reactions. Right? But for nucleophilic substitution reaction, which means I just wanted to I just wanted to add Nu minus here. Nucleophile I have to add. When I can add a nucleophile? When there is an electrophilicity developed, which means here scarcity of electron density should be there, or electron density should be decreased. When electron density will be decreased? Yes, right. Electron withdrawing groups. More the number of electron withdrawing groups are present, more electron scarcity will be developed, or less electron density is present, such that nucleophile can attack very easily. I guess you know answer now. Right? But very good question this is. It is like just like they are breaking that path. Every time they are giving electrophilic substitution reaction. For electrophilic substitution reaction, absolutely opposite. Absolutely opposite, because I just want to add an electrophile. If I want to add an electrophile, I need more electron density. If I need more electron density, there should not be no deactivating group. So all our activating groups and deactivating groups are with respect to whom? The reaction that you have to perform. But benzene, especially aromatic compounds, has less tendency to perform the nucleophilic substitution reactions, which means this is just like an assumption. They have the greatest tendency to perform the electrophilic substitution reactions rather than the nucleophilic substitution reactions, because they have 6 pi electrons. If some nucleophile will go to here, therefore these 6 pi electrons will tell us where you are coming. We are already there. Where is the position for this nucleophile? Nothing. So nucleophilic substitution reactions ability is very, very less, very poor for them. Absolutely. Right? Next. Most suitable salt for can be used for the efficient clotting of blood. Blood should be the negative colloid, na? Yeah. Blood should be negative colloid. For a negative colloid, you have to add positively charged electrolyte. Where there is a more positive charge of an electrolyte, that should be that one. +3, +2, +2, +1, +3. Right? Good way of asking question. It is there, actually it is there in the application, I guess. If I am not wrong, it is there in the NCERT application. Check once. And not only this, the delta and everything also will be there in the surface chemistry. Surface chemistry, whether it is colloids, or it is an adsorption, or it is a catalysis, or it is something like even gels also, without reading the applications or uses of the topic, it is waste to go to the exam. And complex compound applications. Every class, after completion of every topic, I told you, you have to read from the NCERT these things. Applicative part we already taught, like CFT, VBT, or something like Werner's theory. That all we have done. Applications we already mentioned in the class. At the same time, I told you, they never take out that statement also. They will give is and was also, as it is the same. So that is almost like gifted marks, those are. So complex compounds, D block elements, surface chemistry, applications or uses, whatever the applications uses are there, just go through them. Right? And are you going through those topics? Environmental chemistry? Seriously? Don't lie. Huh? Everyone are doing, huh? So what topic is completed? No, it is not like, it should not be like a random kind of approach. Random kind of approach never give you a result, I am telling you. It's very pathetic thing. Random kind of approach, because we are science students, we need to have little more good approach. First, put the target. Don't try to read in one day. That is a very bad thing. Especially they are theory topics. Do one thing, take the environmental chemistry and divide into the 3 or 4 parts according to your wish. Like I usually suggest like this. I usually suggest, do you know something? I usually suggest something very weird approach. How I'll tell? I'll tell to the second year student, when they start, every week 1 page. How weird this is, na? But it gives extraordinary result. Because every week 1 page, only 1 page, or sometimes I will tell them only 1 paragraph, but you have to prepare some short notes. They used to prepare. because 1 week, especially maybe after the completion of exam or something, reading 1 page or 1 paragraph, it doesn't take much time, and moreover they'll get clarity also. And next week you are reading, you have to read the previous page as well as this page, so that they will get more clarity in that, and the probability to miss the concept is going to be decreased, because environmental chemistry, it is there in the first year, so already it is completed, they can prepare well. Now do one thing, you will be having 3 pollutions, right? Soil pollution, water pollution and air pollution. Do one thing, divide according to your wish. Divide into according to your wish. Air pollution, maybe 2 days. 2 days, which means maybe that is half an hour or 40 minutes or 20 minutes, it is up to your capability. Okay? Read that content only and read it properly. Biomolecules, polymers is not like that. They are mechanisms. Biomolecules is absolute mechanism. Okay, so it is not like that. But these are theory topics. For those theory topics, you have to approach little in a different way, that is an accurate way. And six classes or 3 days, it is up to you. If you already read, then read it in that way. Then after, chemistry everyday life. Divide that one. And if you read the content, whatever I forwarded to you, that is enough. Okay? And polymers also, don't forget to read the applications of polymers or uses of the polymers. Don't forget, because here they are giving that only. Next one, look at this. Yeah, FeCl4 minus COC2O4 taken thrice, MnO4 minus 2. First of all, I'll ask you, what are their hybridizations? Of course, I'm not going to approach the hybridization method, but we'll approach in different way. FeClO4 taken minus 2. Without doing, you have to tell. What is hybridization? Sp? Fe plus 2. 4s2 3d6. D6. So, D6 configuration. Weak ligand. Never get paid up. Therefore, what is the hybridization, Rabbi? sp3 tetrahedral. sp3 tetrahedral. CO C2O4 taken thrice minus 3. For cobalt plus 3, oxalate is a strong ligand. Do you remember this sentence? For cobalt plus 3, oxalate is a strong ligand. For cobalt plus 3, ammonia is a strong ligand. Ammonia is a strong ligand for CO plus 3, Cr plus 3, Cu plus 2. Right? So this is a strong ligand. Pairing up will take place. 4s2 3d7, 3 electrons already lost. Therefore it is going to be D6, D2sp3 hybridization, inner orbital complex. MnO4 minus 2. MnO4 minus 2. What about this? Manganese 4s2 3d5. Manganese, so what is the oxidation state here? Plus 6 oxidation state. How many electrons it lost? 6 electrons it lost out of the 7. What is the hybridization? Do you remember? Yesterday, last class also I told you, D3S or SD3. Not only for this, we mentioned for MnO4 minus, we mentioned for Cr2O7 2 minus, we mentioned for CrO4 minus 2, and we are mentioning it for MnO4 minus 2. Manganate ion. Manganate ion upon heating converted to permanganate as well as MnO2. Remember, it undergoes disproportionation. Okay, it's okay, leave it. Now let us talk about these ones. Let us talk about how many number of lone pair of electrons are present. You can follow according to VBT or you can follow according to CFT, that is as per your comfortability. This is going to be tetrahedral. This will be tetrahedral. In tetrahedral, whose energy will be raised? And whose energy will be lowered? Right. T2J energy will be raised. Now 4s2 3d6. 2 electrons lost, 6 electrons are present. First of all, in a tetrahedral complex, no strong ligand, no weak ligand. Pairing up does not take place. Am I right? So, how many number of unpaired electrons are there? 5 4 na CO C2O4 taken thrice, D6 moreover this is in the presence of the strong ligand, pairing up takes place. CFSE is equals to 6 into minus 0.4 delta naught plus 2p, right? Correct. Okay, next here 0, number of unpaired electrons are equal to 0. MnO4 minus 2, just now I told you overall how many electrons are there? 7. Out of 7 how many lost? Therefore how many are present? 1. That one will be there here. Therefore this is paramagnetic. MnO4 minus is dia, Cr2O7 2 minus dia, CrO4 minus 2 dia, MnO4 minus 2 only, it contains 1 electron. That is the only paramagnetic. Okay, remaining all of them are dia. Then what is the reason for the color? Metal ligand charge transfer spectra, MLCT. Metal ligand charge transfer, which means the lone pair of electrons which are present in the oxygen, those lone pair as well as the metal transitions, because of that transition they will possess the color. It's a big theory, but you just remember like that. It is clearly given in NCERT also. That's why we are telling you MLCT, or there is another one is also there, that is LMCT, but this is MLCT, metal ligand charge transfer, right? You can calculate now that magnetic moments. In polymer, BuNaS, it stands for styrene. 1,3 butadiene plus styrene gives rise to BuNaS. Next, the correct shape of I3 minus, the shape of I3 minus, that will be and here we will be having 3 lone pairs, sp3d, 3 lone pairs and 2 bond pairs, sp3d, 3 lone pairs as well as the 2 bond pairs. So 180 degrees absolutely. Where is the yeah, right. Can you tell me T shape molecule, one T shape molecule? BRF3. Can you tell me one trigonal planar shape molecule? One planar trigonal molecule. BCl3, BF3, BBr3, SO3, sulfur trioxide. Planar trigonal only, na? Distorted trigonal planar. Distorted trigonal planar. What is distorted trigonal planar? What is a distorted trigonal planar? Is there any distorted trigonal planar molecule? Maybe it should contain 3 lone pairs as well as 3 bond pairs, 4 bond pairs, 1 lone pair. That should be what we call CISA, na? Actually distorted trigonal planar is nothing but CISA. Yeah. IF5 example, right? SF4, SF4. Yeah. Next, the value of the parameter biochemical oxygen demand is the important for the survival of aquatic life. That is okay. This BOD value should be less or BOD value should be high? Biological oxygen demand, whatever they are saying, that BOD value should be more or BOD value should be less? Less. If it is less, then it should be the less polluted water. If I am not wrong, if BOD value is less than 5 ppm, that is suitable for a drinking purpose. If it is more than 35 ppm, it is not at all suitable. And optimum value, if it is more than 35 ppm, that is a polluted water. If it is something around greater than 80 or something, that we can treat it as a sewage water something. This is wrong actually. 6.5 ppm, it is just above the drinking purpose. Therefore, this is not the optimum value for this. Another one is there, that is COD value. What is COD? Chemical oxygen demand. In order to calculate chemical oxygen demand, what will you add? K2Cr2O7 along with H2SO4. You are going to oxidize. What you are oxidizing? You are oxidizing the organic material which is present in the water. And we are going to remove it. If you oxidize, then what will happen? They will be converted to carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide will be evaporated from water. That's it. That is what they are doing in the Musi right now. That is what they are doing for the like purification for the Ganga also. Of course, it is not that simple process because they have lot of things. So that is the principal process is that one. Next. Yeah, one statement is correct, another statement is wrong there. Next one, yeah, I remember this. I don't know why, but this is correct, huh? Al2O3 along with SiO2. CO3 along with the COH taken twice. If I am not wrong, these are correct. Ah, okay. Aluminum ore is there, iron ore is, copper ore, zinc ore is there, right? ZnS will be the zinc blend, na? Yeah, then it is okay. I have a doubt between them, ZnCO3 and ZnS. So this is okay, right? It's good. Just now you told ZnHg concentrated HCl. What is the name of that reaction? Clemenson's reduction. Clemenson's reduction. H2PDBSO4. Rosenmann's reduction. Rosenmann's reduction. Okay. Same H2PDBSO4 you will use. You are able to convert alkyl halide to the alkane. H2PDBSO4, if you treat with an alkyne, it will be converted to cis alkene. Right? Birk reduction, sodium ammonia, alkyne will be converted to transalkene. Right? Next, Br2NaOH. Br2NaOH is nothing but Hofmann degradation, conversion of amide to the amine. And this is Rosenmann's reduction. See, they are testing all this. This is Clemenson's reduction. HVZ. HVZ reduction is nothing but alpha chloro substitution. Or you can add cyanide, you can add bromine, you can add chlorine, you can add anything. Even you can add amine also. Of course, that should be added in the second step, not in the direct. But the point is activation of alpha hydrogen or alpha carbon. That is the point here. So now I guess this should be RC double bond owner. First I will find out this. Yeah. Next one, H2PDBSO4. Here they are converting now this Clemenson's reduction. H2PD, yeah, this is alpha and this is the one. But the same thing if you add it to the alkyl halide, same reagent, if you add it to the alkyl halide, there that reaction is not called like that. They call it as like, it will be converted to alkane simply. The same kind of reagent along with quinoline, that quinoline they call it as poison. Poison, which means nothing but they are reducing the reactivity. They want to reduce the reactivity, that's it, nothing else. Right? Therefore, it can convert an alkyne into the cis alkene. Okay, see, all are almost like this one as well as this one. These two are similar kind of reactions. This one is for the carboxylic acid and this one is for the amide. Conversion of amide to the amine. Right? This is good actually. Do you remember these colors? Lithium lilac, right? Sodium yellow, rubidium red violet, cesium blue violet, red violet, blue violet. So you are coming from I'll give you something. Good question actually this is. Usually inorganic we don't expect this kind of approach. This will be having the maximum wavelength Rabbi. Violet should be having the minimum wavelength. So among these two, among all these four, this one should be having the least wavelength. This one should be having the highest wavelength. See how beautifully arranged this question. This should be the minimum. This is next one. So that's it. Right? Just take your note. Next time they might ask the question on the colors of secondary group. Okay, so it might be, I'm thinking it might be like why beryllium does not, beryllium and magnesium they both does not exhibit the color, na? Why? The energy that we are supplying is not enough to transit the electrons from lower energy level to the higher energy level. It's little technical knowledge thing. I'll tell you simply. Why color will be exhibited? Because of electron transitions from lower energy level to higher energy level. Then after they will come back from higher energy level to the lower energy level. Be plus 2, Mg plus 2, if you remember, compared to the lithium, which means first A group element, second A group elements are having more nuclear charge. They have more nuclear charge, but they lost 2 electrons also, and they lost 2 electrons also on top of it, which means nuclear charge increased very huge. Nuclear charge increased very much huge. That's it's going to be uncomparable. That much increase of nuclear charge is there. Now electrons which are present in that shell, they will come closer to each other. But whereas the outer shell, it never comes closer. But inner shell came closer. Now the energy gap between the lower, what we can say that according to HOMO, highest occupied, of course it is not molecular orbital, highest occupied atomic orbital, as well as least unoccupied atomic orbital, the energy gap is very high. Now what is the flame test? Flame test is nothing but I will take some salt and I'm going to mix it with the HCl. In the laboratory you will do. You will take with some spatula or maybe some with a glass rod, and you are going to directly put it on the flame. That flame energy is how much? Very, very less. That much energy is not sufficient to pull the electron or to move the electron from this lower energy level to that much higher energy level. So you are not providing that energy in the laboratory. That is the problem. So flame tests are not done in the laboratories, not in the industries. So that energy is not sufficient. That is the logic over there. Remember this. If it comes, then you will be very happy now. Diazonium salt of which of the following compounds will form color dye on reaction with beta naphthol in sodium hydroxide? First of all, my thought here is it does not form because it does not undergo diazotization. First thing. Second one, it does not form, it does not undergo diazotization because this is secondary amine, tertiary amine, they does not exhibit. This one also does not form because this is primary amine, but this is benzylamine. These cannot undergo coupling reactions. If it wants to exhibit the color, it should undergo coupling reactions. What was that reaction? For example, if you take the amine, now when you are doing diazotization, NaNO2 along with HCl, it will give something like this. Now you have to react with whom? Something they have given, beta naphthol. It should react with beta naphthol. This position is active position here. This N2 will come and attack here. Because of this aromatic character, because of this nitrogen connected to this one, this nitrogen will come and attack here. The chance is not there for this fellow. So we can eliminate very easily. This one is not possible, only this. So aniline, it can exhibit that coupling reactions any day. Not only that one, phenol, aniline can exhibit. And you have in your syllabus, even sometimes they will give nitro compound. Nitro compound they will reduce. Therefore, then it will give aniline. Again, they will talk about this kind of colors also. So of course, that pHa value is also risen between 8 to 9 in order to exhibit that color. Yeah, true. Which of the following compounds is non-aromatic? If it wants to be non-aromatic or as well as aromatic, first it has to follow one thing, that is, it should be having the planar compound, that should be planar compound, and it should be having conjugation first. Then after 4n plus 2, whether it is follow or 4n plus 2 it does not follow, that is all. So if it wants it to be an aromatic compound, it should be planar compound, it should be having the conjugation, it should possess 4n plus 2 pi electrons. If any of this rule is not followed, that should be non-aromatic. If all these rules are followed, but if it is having the 4n pi electrons, that is anti-aromatic. Right? So here is the black sheep. First of all, this is planar, we know very well. If it is having the positive charge here, therefore, what is this? No, what is the name of that carbocation? Right, tropylium carbocation. What is that carbocation? Tropylium. Tropylium carbocation can be rearranged to benzyl carbocation. That is the biggest thing happened with the tropylium. Tropylium carbocation. So no positive charge is there. Therefore, this is the one. Here absolutely it is aromatic. And this is also, it looks weird, but it is okay. And this is absolutely fine. No problem with this. I have a small doubt with this. Maybe kinetic energy of an electron, kinetic energy Ke is equals to Ze square divided by R square. Kze square divided by R square. But R is equals to, we know that R is equal to 0.529 into n square divided by Z. N square divided by Z, which means R is directly proportional to n square by Z rabbi. So now I will substitute here, Ke is directly proportional to Z divided by R square. Instead of R square I am writing n square divided by Z whole square. So now this is kinetic energy Ke is directly proportional to Z cube divided by n power 4. So this is wrong. And another one, velocity of electron, that we know, velocity is equals to, that value is how much? 2.18 into 10 power 8 n divided by Z. Z divided by n. So velocity is directly proportional to Z divided by n. The product of velocity of an electron and principal quantum number n, Vn, is equal to Z square. This is also false, na? Next, frequency of revolution of an electron in an orbit is Z cube divided by n cube. Frequency of revolution, no? Velocity is equals to usually 2 pi Rn divided by distance divided by time. Time period is equals to 2 pi Rn divided by velocity of nth orbit. Radius of nth orbit, just now we have seen, time period is directly proportional to radius of nth orbit n square by Z divided by Z divided by n. Z divided by n. Now it will go to here, n cube divided by Z square. N cube divided by Z square. Frequency reciprocal. So Z square divided by n cube. So it is not possible, na? It is not possible, na, actually. Coulombic force of attraction. Coulombic force of attraction F is directly proportional to Q1 Q2 divided by R square. Q1 Q2, which means Ze square. I'll tell you why it is. Because they are asking Bohr's atomic theory. According to Bohr's atomic theory, it is applicable for the hydrogen atom only, or hydrogen-like species. For a hydrogen atom or hydrogen-like species, Z is equals to 1. Therefore, they did not consider Z square. They will consider only Z. Ze into E. Ze into E. That is the point. Okay. So ZE square divided by R square is equals to, we know that N square divided by Z, Z cube divided by N power 4. True, na? So what is the answer first of all? ACD, but this is not true, na? This is not correct, na? Any claim is asked. Yesterday I checked even the original what NTA has given also. I checked that one. I found that this is false. Okay. So I guess, are you claimed here? Did you send any claim? No? Why? You should see, if you are very much sure, you can ask the college people. That is what everyone will do. Every institution will do. The students will approach the college people and they will ask them, yeah, why don't you, we can claim this. We have done that. We have done several times. We got, even including 2015 paper, there were 2 claims from the physics and 1 claim for the mathematics. But of course that student, when I was in other institution like in Brilliant, so there the student only paid that amount. Student only paid and he got that correction, therefore the amount he got it back. If that is actually correct, if whatever the claim that your claim is correct, definitely they will refund the amount. If you are very sure. Right, next. Yeah, HgSO4, H2SO4. HgSO4, H2SO4 will give what? Alkyne will be converted to aldehyde as well as ketone. And remember, without seeing all this, I am telling you, except acetylene, remaining all can give ketone only. Except acetylene, remaining all can give ketone. So, which of the following carbonyl compounds cannot be prepared by the addition of water of an alkyne in the presence of HgSO4 and H2SO4? This is not possible. This is not possible. Aldehyde, this kind of aldehyde is not possible. You take anything, you take like propine also you take. You take propine if you want. Now you do H2SO4 along with HgSO4, you are going to get double bond here, not here. Except acetylene. Acetylene only give aldehyde. That is which aldehyde? Acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde only possible with that reaction. No, none of the aldehyde. Right? Next. Yeah, this one C6H6 freezes at 5.5 degrees Celsius. The temperature, which of the solution 10 grams of C4H10 in 200 grams of C6H6 freeze. Nothing but they're asking delta TF. Huh? So Kf is equals to, what is the Kf value? 5.12 into weight is given as 10 divided by gram molecular weight, C4H10 gram molecular weight to 48 plus 10, 58 into 1000 divided by 200. Delta TF will get, delta TF is equals to TF naught minus TFS. TF naught value we know and TFS we have to calculate. Right. Next. The formula of the gaseous hydrocarbon which requires 6 times of its own volume of O2 for the complete oxidation and produces 4 times of its own volume of CO2 is CXHY. The value of Y is. So these kind of questions usually they used to ask in previous MSET. This is very new actually. This is simply just based on the equation. So how much volume of oxygen? 6 times the own volume of its oxygen. When compared with this, this is 6 times. Therefore, x plus y by 4 is equal to 6. X is equal to carbon dioxide is 4 times. So x is equals to 4. Substitute here. Y divided by 4 is equals to 2. So y is equals to 8. Next to sucrose hydrolysis in acid solution into the glucose and fructose follows the first order reaction. Rate law half-life is given. Good, here half-life is given. So T half is equal to, which means 3.33 is equal to 0.693 divided by K. K is equal to 0.693 divided by 3.33. Now what fraction after 9 hours? That is, K is equal to 0.693 divided by 3.3 is equal to 2.303 divided by 9 log initial concentration. Also they did not mention na, A divided by A minus X. This is what we have to calculate. That's it. Let us consider initial was 100%, then you try to calculate X. What is that X value? If you calculate, then it is okay. Right? Next. This is good question actually. So this one sent by some of the student. So it is good. Why it is good, I'll tell you. It's a simple, it's not difficult, but good question. The solubility product of PbI2 is 8 into 10 power minus 9. The solubility of lead iodide in 0.1 molar lead nitrate, which means PbNO3 taken twice is 0.1 molar, which means concentration or solubility of Pb plus 2 is equal to 0.1 molar. And they're asking about what? They're asking for PbI2, no? So PbI2 gives rise to Pb2 plus 2i minus. Pb plus 2 plus 2i minus. That is, this is 0.1, this has to be 2s. Right? Ksp is equals to 0.1 power 1, 2s whole square. Ksp value is given something. Where? Yeah. 8 into 10 power minus 9. 8 into 10 power minus 9, 10 power minus 8 is equals to 4 into s square. S square is equals to 2 into 10 power, s is equals to 2 into 4 to root 2. Yeah. S is equals to root 2 into 10 power minus 4. Right? So that is 1.414 into 10 power minus 4. So what they're asking actually? 10 power minus 6. So 1.414. 141.1. They have given root 2. Therefore 141. Answer should be 141. But I told you why this is good. If they change it a little bit, the entire answer will be changed. That is, they asked simply, see how good they asked. The solubility of lead iodide. If they asked the solubility of iodide, what is the answer? Right, 2i. Or 2 into 141, that is equals to 282. Unfortunate thing is, whoever forwarded that question to me, he put 282. And he was claiming me. Sir, my answer is correct na? Then why? No, I told, they asked just solubility, not the total solubility of iodide ion. If they mentioned what is the solubility of iodide ion, then the entire answer would have been completely changed. That is why that sentence frame is so important, and that is why I told you that question is good question. Yeah, next. 1.86 grams of aniline completely reacts to form acetanilide. Aniline. Okay. They are reacting with acetanilide. Acetic anhydride will give. Yeah. CH3, C double bond O, C double bond O, CH3. Yeah. Acetanilide. Right, correct. Now what is the gram molecular weight of this? Oh, benzene 78. Now this is 77. 77 plus 2, 79. 79 plus 14. How much? 90? Yeah, you know this odd rule. Have you heard about odd rule in organic chemistry? You haven't listened? of course it is not that useful to you, but I'll tell you a simple thing. Whenever nitrogen is involved in any compound, the gram molecular weight should be odd. One nitrogen. Remaining cases, you check the remaining any case, you never get especially in organic carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, if they involved, you never get odd gram molecular weight. That's a beautiful thing. You take glucose, you take fructose, you take whatever the hydrocarbon you take, carbohydrate you take, you never get its gram molecular weight as odd until unless it is having the nitrogen in it, one nitrogen. So this is odd, I know, but I am waiting for your answer. What is the gram molecular weight of this? This one. If you tell me that, then I will tell you the answer. May 77. So then after calculate each and every one. Sure? If I get wrong answer, then I will ask you only. 135. Sure? 135. Correct? Right. Now 1.86 grams. 93 grams will give you 135 grams. 1.86 grams will give you how much? So 1.86 into 135 divided by 93. So I am discussing the paper, I am not writing the exam, so I can use calculator. 2.7 grams, but this is not the answer. But they asked something here, 10% of the product is lost, which means the question is having some inherent logic, that is 1.86 grams of aniline, not pure aniline. 1.86 grams of aniline. Sir, how can I know that it is not pure aniline? Because it lost 10% of the product after losing. So it contains some, definitely it contains some impurity in it. So now from this, what you have to do is 2.7 of 10%, that is 0.27. 2.7 minus 0.27, that is the answer. Whatever it comes, that should be the answer. 2.7 minus 0.27. 10% you have to remove it. Otherwise, you can do another thing also. First of all, if you find out here, then what you have to do, instead of doing the 1.86, you can reduce the 10% of it in the beginning only. 1.86 minus 0.186. Then you can get the straight away answer. Because that is based on the data which is given here. Here they mentioned. That's why we are taking like that. Okay? Yes, assuming the ideal behavior, the magnitude of log K for the following reaction. So actually here one thing is good thing. Delta GR is equals to minus 2.303 R into T log Kc or Kp, whatever. But delta GR is equals to delta G naught of products minus delta G naught of reactants. That is equals to minus 2.303 R into T log Kc. Now they have given this reaction, that is delta G naught of C6H6 minus 3 into delta G naught of C2H2 is equals to minus 2.303 RT log Kc. Delta G naught of benzene I know, that is 1.26 into 1.24 into 10 power 5 minus 3 into acetylene also I know, that is this is minus, and here also of course this is minus 2.04 into 10 power 5, that is equal to minus 2.303 RT into log Kc. Or otherwise first I will calculate delta G naught R, then after I can substitute in it, that is also okay, it's up to you. Right. Next, the volume which is occupied by 4.75 grams of an acetylene gas at 50 degrees Celsius and 740 mm of Hg, nothing but PV is equal to nRT. PV is equal to 740 by 760 into volume we have to calculate. Number of moles 4.75 divided by C2H2 12, 24, 24 plus 2, 26 into R value 1 by 12 or 0.081. Did they mention anything? 0.0826. Temperature 50 plus 273, 323. There might be some calculation privilege will be there. Might be if you substitute that. There might be. So if we substitute, we can get V. Next one. This thing, how many times I mentioned in the class? S2 is a paramagnetic similar to O2. S2 is similar to 6th group elements. Even I did not teach the 6th group elements, but I mentioned so many times in the class. Sulfur is having the allotropes of rhombic sulfur, monoclinic sulfur. Rhombic sulfur at 95.6 degrees Celsius converted to monoclinic. Then after heated up to 422, then it starts converting into the liquid, 95.6, no? Then after 222, it starts melting. After that, it starts forming like a crust. After 444 degrees Celsius, S8 will be converted to S6. This is called Engle sulfur. Actually, this is having crown ring kind of structure. This is having boat form. If you keep on heating, it converted to S4. If you keep on heating, converted to S2. S2 is a paramagnetic similar to O2 according to molecular orbital theory. Even whether I say or not, but it is there clearly in NCERT. S2 is highly unstable. It can form at extreme temperature or high temperatures. It is a paramagnetic similar to O2. The same sentence as it is there. Right? Yeah, this is also good thing. But the point is here, whenever you have question like this, MnO4 minus converting into Mn plus 2, in which medium? Acidic medium. Okay. So 4H2O plus 8H plus 5 electrons. Right? Now QC is equals to concentration of Mn plus 2 divided by concentration of MnO4 minus into concentration of H plus ion whole power 8. Now, okay, that couple we have to calculate. H plus concentration is decreased from 1 molar to 10 power minus 4 molar. Assume concentrations of MnO4 minus Mn2 plus to be same. Even it is changed to H plus concentration. I will take one small thing. I am assuming that MnO4 minus and Mn plus 2 both of them are 1 molar. Nothing wrong because they said that it is my wish. Okay. So I will take this is 1 molar, this is 1 molar, and initially this is also 1. Therefore QC initially is equal to 1. If this is equals to 1, if I write the equation E of MnO4 minus 2 Mn plus 2 is equals to E naught of MnO4 minus 2 Mn plus 2 minus 0.059 divided by 5 log 1 QC, that is equal to 0. Therefore, E of MnO4 minus 2 Mn plus 2 is equal to E naught of MnO4 minus 2 Mn plus 2. Now, second one, 1 molar is changed to 10 power minus 4, provided I am thinking that these two are fixed. So 1 only. Just for the calculation purpose I am doing. Otherwise, you can put C concentration, or X, Y. If even you put it, it is going to be get cancelled. Nothing else. So QC prime, that is equal to 1 divided by 10 power minus 4 power 8. That is equal to 10 power 32. Now, E prime of MnO4 minus 2 Mn plus 2 is equals to E naught of, I have to write, E naught of MnO4 minus Mn plus 2 is nothing but E of MnO4 minus Mn plus 2 only, na? E of MnO4 minus 2 Mn plus 2 minus 0. 0.059 divided by 5 log 10 power 32. So now 32 into 0.059 divided by 5, and if you bring this one to this side, that should be the answer. They're asking that only, na? What they're asking? The magnitude change in oxidizing power of the couple in H plus concentration. So magnitude change, na? So if this one come to here, therefore this is the overall value. So that value you have to write in terms of 10 power minus 4. We did not have much space, that's why we told like that. It will come, it has come. Absolutely, that answer absolutely will come. If you take 0.06, it will come out around 38 something. But if you take 0.059, absolutely this answer is coming. But and once again, stupid calculation, that is. Absolutely. Next, the total number of amines among the following can be synthesized by Gabriel synthesis. Gabriel synthesis, we can synthesize only primary amines, but not secondary, but not tertiary. Because the secondary and tertiary, if you start synthesizing, they will go to the elimination rather than the substitution. Yeah, that is actually in fact SN2 mechanism. Gabriel phthalimide synthesis, last amine formation is SN2 mechanism. Therefore, primary, this is aromatic aniline, it's not possible. Because SN2 mechanism, whenever there is an aromatic compound, that SN2 mechanism is not at all going to be possible. Right? On the same carbon, it doesn't take place. So primary amines, it can be done. So this is the total paper that we have here. In this paper also, memory based questions, how many are there? Absolutely memory based. Might be, yeah, to be frank, this is the one. But this is the conceptual thing only, to be frank, that is the one. And another, yeah, these are also not memory based, conceptual things. This is, of course, this is logical and you have to remember the color. Color you have to remember, but pure logic is there. This is also same, it is okay. This is the one. Definitely you have to remember. Nothing, no escape at all. Yeah, this is the one. Surely, no one will say that. Of course, we know the definition of this one, that is okay. DO is another definition. What is DO? Dissolved oxygen. If dissolved oxygen is more, pollution is more or less? If more is the DO, less will be the pollution. Therefore, more is the DO, which means more aquatic animals or plants can be survived in it. But if DO is very, very high, then it can cause pollution. That pollution is called eutrophication. Because if DO is very high, aquatic plants will be grown too much. If more aquatic plants are grown, therefore the lake or the pond is going to be dried up. That is what happening in most of the cities or the towns, small lakes as well as the ponds. It's a big scam. Seriously. You never believe, but that is true. They will put something like in normal Telugu they call gurrapu dekka. That if once it start growing, it will completely absorb the total water in it. So they will put that seed. If any real estate people, they see that one good pond, it is having the less number of water, that what will do, they'll just put some seed. So after that, completely it will be developed, that algae kind of generation family, that is. It will be completely developed, and after that it absorbs, so that the lake is going to be dried up. If once that is dried up, gradually, so for example, if this is the perimeter, then therefore they will start coming like this. It's that was happened, and that is why almost like 400 or 500 lakes used to be there in Hyderabad. But now how many are there? It's okay. This is also similar to that. Yeah, this is the one you have to remember. So now we got 3 and nothing. 3 or 4 maximum. So think wisely. and try to follow the mostly the conceptual, not the